begin our 4 o'clock afternoon meeting. It's just time I'll turn it over to
Mayor, I got a comment to make, if I may, please. We talked about last time pay raise for employees, and it was talked about a bonus, which I don't think is adequate due to the fact that the cost of living raise. The employers have not received the cost of living raise for anything in several years. I'd like to make a motion to give all employers, with the exception of department heads, city manager, and city attorney, a 3% pay raise effective in July. Department heads do an excellent job, but they are well compensated. It is important that we recognize the work our rank and file employees do on a daily basis. The city manager and city attorney have just recently been hired, and they too are well compensated, so they should also be exempt from the raise. The $600,000 the manager wants to use for the bonus can be applied to the raises, as well as the remainder of the money could come part of it from the city's manager's discretionary fund. I'd like to make this a motion.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'm gonna second that.
Do I have a discussion?
Discussion, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
You got a motion and a second. I would like to see us go ahead and do a cost of living raise as well, but not just for certain employees. I'd like for us to do it across the board. I'd like to see us do, and I think we were told that the $600,000 would probably cover about 1.5% of salaries right now. Is that correct, Larry? The $600,000 that you suggested in the form of a bonus, would that cover about 1.5% of salaries?
I believe in general fund, and to speak from memory, we had actually, with all due respect, had proposed this be carried over to March 17th and provide the board with numbers. But
that's okay. But
I think 1% equates to, in the general fund side, 1% equates to about $225,000. So around 650, 675.
What I was hoping that we would do, Mayor, was go ahead and do a 1.5% cost of living for the fiscal year that we're currently in, and make that retroactive back to July 1, and give the employees what was owed to them back to July 1 to take care of that 1.5%. And then for the remainder of the year, just adjust their salaries so that they would have the 1.5%, and so they would have the 1.5% going into next year's budget as well. So in other words, rather than giving them, wait until July to give them 3%, I'd like for us to go ahead and do a 1.5% for this year, and then continue that 1.5% until going into the next fiscal year.
My thinking on that was that, you know, you still have inflation. Employees that have families and all, they have their budgets increase every year, and the fact that we haven't really looked at them hard for some time, so that's the reason, and that's the reason I'll stick to that motion.
Okay. And again, Mayor, I don't have a problem with adjusting, doing a cost of living. It's just that I have not seen any other budget numbers at this time, and I don't know what that 3% of cost of living increase would do to our budget.
I think it's going to run about $850,000 a year, and if you take the $600 and part of the discretionary fund, pretty well would cover that. And secondly, that would give staff till July 1 to work into the coming budget year.
Well, the one thing that I agree with is rank and file employees getting a raise, and I think that's important for the rank and file to get a raise, and I agree that our department heads are very well compensated, as is our city manager, city attorney that we just hired, and also our assistant city manager. So I am for the rank and file employees getting raised, and I think 3% is fair.
Okay. But George, you're talking about 1.5%.
Yes.
That 1.5 was for
1.5 would be retroactive back to July 1 for the current budget year we're in. So they would get back pay to July 1 up until today's date. And then from this day forward, they would get the remainder of that 1.5% cost of living on their paycheck each pay period. And then going into July 1 of this coming year, the next fiscal year, they would get another, well, that 1.5% would be constant. And if we see what we can afford to do more, then we would do more.
Yeah.
But again, I think that the 1.5% would take care of everybody, and not just. And I know that our supervisors are well paid, but the city manager keeps alluding to the fact that we are not adequately compensating our key personnel, and that he's afraid he's going to lose key personnel if we don't figure out a way to give them additional compensation. And that's the gist of what I have been getting from him.
Question. So Billy is saying 1.5, which they would get now, and it'd be retroactive, so that's immediately.
They would immediately see a 1.5% cost of living going back to July 1, and that would be in the form of retroactive pay. Then for the rest of this year, their paychecks would reflect a 1.5% COLA for the fiscal year that we're in. And then going into next fiscal year, if the city manager sees where we can raise that from 1.5 up to 3%, I don't have a problem with that. But I just personally think that it needs to, that we need to treat all of our employees the same.
How would the council look at it as straight 1.5%? I'm talking about for
Yeah, motion on the floor.
I know how, but right now I can talk too. We're in discussion, that's not my question. Any other discussion?
I would only have this comment as well. Apparently from what I'm hearing from Billy is that he wants to make this retroactive in that 1.5 and that number back to July 1 of this past year. And really an unknown number about where we may be going on July 1. That could be 1.5 or more.
Depending on what the city manager determines that the budget could support.
And I do agree with the motion, but I personally think that this raise should be held to the people that Lynn has described and not all employees. And so that's, and the 3% number is a, you know, in my opinion, is a significant raise and an adequate one.
Okay. Anyone else? Excuse me. Nothing, all in favor of, let's see that we've got two motions. Mr.
No,
Bush got one
no,
motion.
it's one motion. I did not make a motion, but mine was just comments.
Yours comment, oh yeah, you're right. Okay, I have a motion to do the 3% for employees, for the employees,
For the purpose of the motion, Mayor, could,
yes.
And I'm sure that this has been discussed with the city manager, could you identify those key personnel that would not be receiving?
Well, I'm surprised by the motion, but what I heard as the motion was to 3% COLA for all but basic department heads and above.
And how many people would we be talking about?
That would not
receive
what, 12 to 15.
Well, maybe, okay, I have a motion. Maybe we can come back and address some of that, maybe in July, then, if that's what it is. All right, so I have a motion, all in favor? Raise your hand. All opposed? Okay, did you get that? All right, item 1, Larry, on the proposed $6 lump sum bonus, we passed that. Now we're past that for 1, so we'll go into item 2 discussion of the goals.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mayor and members of City Council. I've got a couple slides, an overview of today's presentations and the series that I hope will follow on March 17th and April 7th. You might ask, why do these presentation topics matter? I've asked our staff to focus on that same question while they were formulating their narratives. There are two types of presentations that I've asked to be organized for you. I'm categorizing them as non-SWOT and SWOT. Now, non-SWOT basically are themes focusing on the challenges across departments or across the community. The SWOT assessments, or strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats assessments, are championing giving you more of a department level perspective, which I ask staff to use as a template to organize those narratives. But why should presentations matter? My perspective is, as a proposed budget sets forth a spending plan, which is the fuel needed to advance your collective goals and guidance, the spending plan will allocate resources enabling our staff to deliver those policies and programs at a level of quality that you have decidedly agreed upon. The spending plan that eventually is designed exhibits your policy in dollars and cents and should propel the community closer to the ideals that we collectively hold. Obviously, dollars fund positions, functions, programs, initiatives, and incentives. Perhaps we can agree that there are many items of importance that will be counted as vitally important when measures or resources are attached. To do that effectively, a common understanding of organization's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats should exist. Thus, I place significant importance on this communication to the board and for our upcoming forums in April to the community. This slide highlights the presentations for this afternoon on the 17th and April 7th. We may not complete the entire list identified for today. Granted, it's a lot. Today's lead presentation includes Tanya, backing her up, Brian, providing insights on facility usage. Following them will be Pete presenting a branding initiative that may reshape our public identity across the region. After those are completed, and if time permits, I've asked staff to give the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat presentation, or SWOT for short. I've asked the staff to limit their narratives to approximately 10 minutes. We hope you do ask questions. Questions will obviously extend any of our presentations. So at this time, I'd like to invite Tanya to provide you insights on facility usage.
Good afternoon. Nothing like being first. What I've been asked to do is to provide you with some information on the recreation facilities that are operated through the Recreation Division. And what we're going to look at is facility usage trends and the daily usage at our facilities for fiscal years 2012 through 2014. And then I'm going to concentrate on fiscal year 2014 as far as the program use. What I think that this report will demonstrate is that overall, we have seen increases in our daily usage. Underutilization exists in some program areas. The need to assess and prioritize community needs does exist. And the potential need to reallocate funds to better serve citizens and increase program usage. What I'd like to do is talk a little bit about the charts that you see on the slide because they will be repeated for each recreation center. The chart on the left demonstrates the daily average usage at the recreation center. And then the pie chart basically demonstrates what folks are doing once they get to that facility. So that is our program usage at this facility. Dickerson Center, the largest program usage area, is in our after-school and day camp programs. The second largest usage area is the open gym. An open gym is simply when the gym is open for free play basketball. Annual operating cost of this facility is $96,685. We do have several programs at this facility that does generate revenue that helps to offset that operating cost. And those are the after-school summer day camp programs, cheer and self-defense programs, and then the daily fees that are charged for ages 16 and up for the gym and the weight room. Underutilized program times, we have seen a decrease in the morning usage at this facility on weekdays. Some of that can be attributed to the opening of the Aquatics and Fitness Center. So we could possibly reduce some of the morning hours. Mondays and Tuesdays seem to be the least utilized days, and we could realize some potential savings by doing that.
Out of the $96,000, that's the annual budget, what, the program brings in,
About $54,000.
so we're just under 50,000 cost.
This is the cost after you take out what we generate revenue. Yeah, this is our operating cost. This is after. This is total operating cost, and it takes into consideration all the revenue that are generated
I
there.
didn't mean to jump ahead on you.
No, that's fine. Ellen Fitzgerald Senior Center. This is our facility that serves our participants that are 55 years and older. No surprise that the fitness programs see the largest usage at this facility. We have an annual operating cost of $215,206. It is a membership facility. However, city residents do not pay a membership fee. And you see we have 484 resident members, and we have 245 non-resident members. Non-resident members pay